All right, welcome back. 7:55 forever. I'm David O'Brien, Braves writer at The Athletic. I'm with Eric O'Flaherty, former Braves reliever. What's happening, Eric? How you doing, man?
What's up, Dave?
Not much, man. Just kind of a disappointing end to the Braves series against the Pirates. I thought they had a good chance to sweep them, but the offense has gone back to erratic mode at best. And today they did really nothing. It was a weird game. 11:35 a.m. start, which felt just really, that's the first time I've ever covered a game before noon, and that's including spring training games. They start at 1. That was just weird. But
That's so awkward. I guess in playoffs it happens sometimes, but there's some adrenaline to that. But during the regular season, usually getting out of bed, if it's up to you
yeah,
and it's not a normal day game, you go to bed at like 1:30, 2 o'clock if you're lucky.
yeah,
So playing at 11 that's tough.
yeah. So they had show and go, and even after, because they played, it wasn't a night game the night before, but it was 4 o'clock game.
Yeah.
Um, and that was an exciting one. I mean, that was the
Yeah.
walk-off 10 innings. And nobody ever needed a walk-off hit more than Adam Duvall. I
Yeah.
mean, that guy has struggled to say the least. Um, hey, before I forget it, this episode is brought to you by Joe Van Gogh Coffee. Joe Van Gogh is back in the fold. And by the way, my brother and sister-in-law and their kids were on vacation in North Carolina this week, and they went to Joe Van Gogh's and
Nice.
asked, and they were disappointed because they didn't have the 44, the 44 flavor thing that we have for the special for a while. But they did go and told them who we were and all that.
Nice.
So anyway, they said the coffee was great. In Braves country and all over baseball, it's the middle of the season. Time for the All-Star break. There's another break worth taking. That would be a coffee break to remember Braves legend Henry Aaron, who was selected in Midsummer Classic 20 times. I think it's actually more than 20. I have to look that up, but he was actually in more All-Star games than seasons played because they had 2 years where they played two All-Star games. And he played in all four of those. And those two, yeah, they did it for 2 years. They had two All-Star games, two breaks. Yep. So he was
I never
more
heard
than
that.
that. Yep. Look it up on the baseball reference. Joe Van Gogh Coffee is bringing back blend number 44. There you go. See, they didn't have it last week when my brother was there. In honor of Aaron. For a limited time, find our blend number 44 at joevangogh.com and enter the code HAMMER at checkout to receive an additional 20% off your purchase. Joe Van Gogh has been roasting and serving coffee for 30 years and following the Braves through each and every one of them. Visit joevangogh.com. That's joevangogh.com. And just in case it's too hot for you, blend number 44 makes a cold brew as well. Um, yeah, the 10 inning walk-off win. Well, that was a great game, riveting game. The pitching matchup lived up to billing, even though neither of those guys was as sharp as they've been at times. They both just gutted it out and pitched 6 innings apiece, really strong, with Max facing Paul Skeens. First time I've seen Paul Skeens, and he's the real deal. His
Yeah.
velo was down about 1.3, I think, on his, so he actually topped out at 99, and his usual average is he was down from his usual average, and he didn't have any 100-mile-an-hour pitches, but he was sharp, and he's got like 4 pitches. I mean,
Yeah.
he threw more splits than fastballs yesterday, which I really was kind of surprised. But he got some whiffs on it, a lot of whiffs on it.
I, I'm never gonna get to a point where I see splitter and 95 miles an hour next to it on TV, and it's never going to make sense to me. Every
Yeah,
time I'm going to think they got it wrong because it's insane some of the stuff these guys are throwing, and that pitch is crazy. All his
yeah.
stuff,
He
I mean, every
he
pitch he
and
has.
he and Max pitched 6 innings apiece. They each gave up 6 hits. Each gave up 1 run. Skeens ended up striking out a bunch of guys in the late innings to give him 9 strikeouts. He's had at least 7 strikeouts in all but one of his starts. He had 11 in one. He's had 9 a couple times. I mean, that kid's and he's every bit of 6'6" and 240. He's huge.
He looks like
Uh
a horse.
yeah, he does. And it's so effortless. He throws 99 like most guys throw 88.
Yep.
I mean, and Max, real good mix. I thought Max did. He made big pitches again and again and again when he had to. He had 2 runners on in the first inning, 2 runners on the second inning, one in the third, two in the fifth, and got out of every jam except one. gave up a sac fly, the only run he gave up in 6 innings. Gave up 6 hits. He had 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. It's just that this run that he's on, we've talked about it. He's got 12 starts now with a 1.9 ERA and like 14 starts with a 2.05 since those bad 2 starts to begin the year.
It's I always say the guys that can bet on themselves, like Max could have. He's already set for life if he's not an idiot right
Yeah.
now. But I mean, he could have guaranteed himself 100 mil last year, probably something in that range. 80 to 100. I'm sure somewhere
The
in there.
offer the Braves would have made to him. Yeah.
Yeah, and the guys that bet on themselves and are willing to go into a season like this, risk injury and risk performance, because
Yep.
a lot of guys have bad free agent years because it's the first time that it really matters what your numbers are for a while in quite a while. Like you go into ARB and stuff, or when you're trying to stay in the big leagues. But once you've got a guaranteed contract, if you have a rough first month, it's like they're not going to release me. Like I've had a pretty good career so far, but he goes into this season, and I mean, I think he's having the best season I've seen him.
Yeah. If you throw out the first 2 starts, the numbers are the
Yeah,
best all across the board.
the best I've seen him pitch.
So yeah, and he bet on himself not only, about what you said, but this is a guy that's had several injuries, little
Yeah.
nagging ones, some a little bigger. The flexor thing last year, the forearm strain 2 years ago when he missed, or that was last year when he missed 2 months, over 2 months. I
Mhm.
mean, you have another one of those this year in a free agent year, it's tens of millions of dollars that it would
Yeah.
cost you. So, he has confidence in himself. He's a smart guy, and he's gone out and he's handled this, in a free agent year. He could have been an ass and told the Braves, look, I understand why you want to give those guys extra rest for 6, 7 days, some days, but I want to go every 5th day. So make the schedule work for me where I go every 5th day. And that would have been understandable if he wanted to pitch every 5th day. And they could have done that. It would have required a lot more, maneuvering, but they could have done it and made him go every 5 days in his free agent walk year. But he didn't do that. And he's making the best of it and going out, not saying a word, just going out and doing it. 4 days rest this week, or he's only done that a couple times, but 5 days rest, 6 days rest a couple times, and it's pitching great in like every one of those situations.
Yeah. I mean, I just I think it's tough to predict what the free agency will look like. One, because it was kind of a weird market the last few years anyway. Like there
Yeah,
was like
yeah.
Snell couldn't get a good deal. So had to take that 1 year or 2 year, whatever it was. And there's
And look
guys
what
that
it's
are,
doing to him.
yeah, yeah. So
Disaster.
I mean, it's hard to tell what it'll look like. And Max has had some injuries, and teams I think are a little more cautious with pitchers than
And
position players, obviously. But
and he's 30 years old.
yep, yeah. So who knows? Who
But
knows what it'll look like for him? But he couldn't be doing more right now to help his
oh,
case.
I know. Oh yeah. He's gonna get it ain't gonna surprise me if he gets it won't be like a 5 or 6 year deal at 30, I don't think, because teams have realizing those are backfiring as those long. But I could see him getting like 3 or 4 years at 30 million a per.
At
I
least.
could see him doing that. Yeah.
Yep.
I was looking up while I was paused there for a second. Ian Anderson made his first rehab start. Well, other than in the complex league games, the rookie league games, pitched a couple of those, or 1 or 2 of those. But he made a rehab start today for Single A Augusta, and I'm just looking it up. And man, you talk about encouraging. 3 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. He threw. Let's see. Do they put the number of pitches? Yeah, they do. He threw 46 pitches, 29 strikes. I mean, the Braves love to see that because he's right on schedule to come back after the All-Star break.
Yeah, and that's kind of my take on him. Is he always seemed to really be able to pitch, and he never seemed overwhelmed by any moments. So when you saw him really struggle, a lot of times there's an injury forming, or it's kind of already there. You've got this weakness that's about to go. I think a
Yeah,
lot of his performance before he finally blew out was probably due to an injury that was on its way or
yep.
already starting.
Started the previous year because he
Yeah,
kind of conceded that, yeah, it could have been a little sore last year, but I don't want to think about that now. I just want to
yeah.
kind of move forward. And he ended up compensating, and then that's when he did the real damage.
Hmm.
Um, This injury report is brought to you by Gerber and Holder, attorneys who only represent injured workers, just like these Braves. If you've been hurt on the job, go to www.gerberholderlaw.com. That's GERBERHOLDER law.com. The other one is Michael Harris. He's missed what, 2.5, almost 3 weeks now with the hamstring, which we figured he'd miss about a month, but he's not running yet. And they're making sure it's completely healed, which you've got to do for any player, but especially a speed guy, a runner like him playing center field, where you're not going to be able to restrain yourself. You got to go balls to the wall, to go to get balls in a gap when he's stealing bases all the time. He's always using those legs. So they're going to be careful. And now that we're this close to the break, I'd be surprised if he comes back for the break.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think he'll come back after the break. That'll give him like 5-6 weeks. And that sounds about right for a hamstring. It was great too. So I mean, it could easily be 2 months,
Yeah.
But he's doing everything except running. He's been swinging for a while. He's throwing now a little bit. He's doing other things to keep active. So, and he said he can't feel it for what that's worth, just in regular doing other stuff. It's not
Well,
conscious of.
That's a good sign.
Right. When you don't feel it just moving around, which you do if it's still there, you definitely would feel it.
Yeah, when my shoulder was torn up, I couldn't take the sheets off myself in bed without, a sharp pain. So definitely stuff that you're not feeling and just being cautious with. That's a good sign that he could come back and be full health when he's back.
I was talking to McHugh in the clubhouse today. McHugh's doing stuff for Bally.
Yeah.
He's like one of their pre and post game host guys, and he was doing sideline reporting for one of those games. So, and he's in the post game and with us in the media room, in the interview room, and like Max Fried came in yesterday, and he walks in, and he looks over, what are you doing in here? And he's sitting in the front row with his microphone.
Yeah.
Max said, well, this is weird. And we let McHugh ask the first question, and he's got great questions too, because he asked them like he's having a conversation, pitcher to pitcher. So they're like a little long, but they're like great questions. So we like appreciate it. Like that's a better question than I would have asked him.
Yeah, it's nice getting just a fresh question. You feel like you get asked the same stuff most of the time. And
right.
most of it's just kind of to lead you into, a pretty
right.
cookie cutter answer. But yeah, those conversations with actual players and the stuff that they kind of pick up and might ask you are always pretty good.
He's good though. I think he's got a future in this. And he's doing it so soon after retiring as a player. It's always cool. So he knows like everybody in the locker room, basically.
I think that's a good time to do it.
Yeah. So meanwhile, Jesse Chavez keeps going at 40 and getting his ERA down to like 1.3 now.
That's crazy.
The other night, Charlie pitched really well. Went like 6 1/3. 6 1/3, gave up 1 run. It was strong. No runs. I'm sorry. 6 1/3, 3 hits, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. Charlie, 104 pitches, no runs. It was solid, man, against the Pirates. So who relieves him? One 40-year-old pitcher giving the ball to another 40-year-old pitcher. And Jesse comes in with a runner at second, gets him out of that jam, gets 2 outs, and then pitches another inning. So Jesse goes 1 2/3 with 2 strikeouts. That's crazy, man, what he's doing. I said, do you think about the All-Star game? Because last year, this time we were asking you about the All-Star game. Your ERA was so low and all that, and then you got hit in the shin with that comebacker from Cabrera, broke his shin. So you're even allowing yourself to think about this year? And he goes, I'm not thinking about that now. I'm just thinking about having a full year. I just want to have a full, healthy year with this team, not getting traded, not getting hurt, just wants to have a full year. He goes, if I can have a full, healthy year, that'll be my All-Star year right there. Just having a full, healthy year.
Yeah, it's so hard to make the All-Star team as a reliever if you're not a closer.
Yeah.
I mean, once in a while, you'll have a setup man that is striking out everybody.
Right.
And throws 100 and has some kind of breaking ball, like the guy for the Brewers that was backing up Hader.
Right.
With the changeup. I can't remember his name right now.
Right, with that crazy changeup, yeah.
You could make it like that, but just doing a great job in the bullpen. It's really just your local fans that appreciate it and know it.
Especially a middle reliever, yeah. It's almost impossible. If he did, it would be kind of a nod from the manager that, hey, he's 40 years old, he's still doing this. Yeah. Everybody loves the guy, and he's still damn good. Let's put him on the team. One of those kind of things.
Yeah, there should be a handicap for that.
but
If you're over 40.
it's been so impressive, man. Um, Today, Braves lost 4-2 to the Pirates. All four of the runs scored in the fifth inning against Schwellenbach. And the crazy thing is he's now had 6 starts. 3 of his starts, the fifth inning has been his bugaboo. And, I don't know if it's just a coincidence, if it's, the third time through the order, which a lot of times that's what it is. If he starts to tire maybe a little bit and makes a mistake that inning, but that has really undermined him. The fifth inning today, he's cruising along, man. He pitched great for the first 4 innings, and he gets to the fifth. He hits the dude, the number 9 hitter. He hits him to start the inning. Then he strikes out Kutch, and Brian Reynolds strikes him out consecutively looking. So he's got 2 outs, runner on. He throws a 1-1. No, I'm sorry, a first pitch cutter to O'Neal Cruz. That is over the plate. And he vaporized it, dude. Oh my God. That guy is, I don't know who's got more talent, him or Ellie from the Reds.
Yeah, from the Reds.
In the same division, same position. Both can run, both got huge power. But this kid, oh my, the power is. He hit the ball 452 feet, 117 off the bat.
117.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's something. So boom, that was 2-1 because the Braves had taken a 1-0 lead in the previous inning. So that's 2-1. And then he walks the next guy, Olivares. Then he throws a 1-1 changeup to Rowdy Tellez. He hits at 420 some feet. So again, it's the wrong pitch in that situation where, first of all, the first pitch to Cruz, way too much of the plate, the cutter, he meant for it to be way inside. And then the changeup that he left hanging over a 1-1. And that's what's only thing that's hurt him in these innings is leaving pitches. A lot of times he'll be ahead in the count, and there's no reason at all for him to throw that pitch, and he has. And these guys, and I asked Snit, I said, in the minor leagues, he throws that pitch where it was located to Cruz. He probably gets away with it, right? He goes, yeah, he might struck the guy out, or the guy takes it, because it wasn't like right over the middle.
Yeah,
it's like inner part of the plate. And he said, but he can't make the mistake here. He goes, he's not getting those back here. And that's what he's learning. Smith said he's just learning. He's got so little experience. He had like under 100 innings of pitching. The kid didn't pitch in college till his senior year. He was a closer because he played shortstop. And then had very little, missed the whole year in the minors with Tommy John, first year. So he's pitched very little. So as little as he's pitched, I'm very impressed with him. He's got like 5 pitches. 4 of them are really good, solid, really smart kid. He doesn't get frazzled, but you could see in those innings, you could see it start to come apart again today on that inning. That was the only inning but that was all it took, So
the number one thing I wanted to know when I was pitching and we were going through scouting reports was, where did these guys hurt you, and what pitches do they do damage on? So like if you took like Ryan Zimmerman, for example, if you got a slider into him down under his bat, you were safe. If you got a fastball in tight, you were safe. If you went fastball away to him, you better not you better make that pitch perfect. You better get it down and away. Because if you, with a lot of guys, just the sinking action down and away to a guy will get you the ground ball. The way his bat path was and the way he tries to shoot it to right center, if you leave it up a little bit and catch a little too much plate, even if it's sinking, his bat stays on that pitch and drives it. So I think that's something like with each hitter you can kind of learn once you've been in the big leagues for a while, what their bat path looks like and where can this guy hurt me right now. Like you give up all the singles you want. It takes all day to score hitting singles, but there's certain guys like, okay, De La Cruz, if I throw this cutter, I cannot miss over the plate with it. It's got to get in tight on his hands. It's either on the black or it's a ball because that's where he can hurt me. but then maybe you go change up to him or something like that. You got a little more play, and you can try to catch a little more plate and not have to play it so safe. But there's just a lot of guys where it's like I threw a slider to Adam Dunn one time, and he hit it 7,000 feet. It was upper deck. I mean, it almost hit the scoreboard at DC. And I
Yeah.
saw him. He was out with Chipper after the game, and I ran into him, and he's like, "You threw that ball in the one place I can hit a baseball." He's like, if you would have thrown that slider and hung it high, if you would have
Yeah.
got it up and away, if you would have thrown it down and away, anywhere but where you put it, and it was just a
Right.
hanging slider middle in. But when he said that to me, it made me think like, okay, I mean, you shouldn't have told me that because it gave me confidence facing him. But you think about it and you're like, when I face this guy again, if I go slider, I have to get it down the way. Like
Yeah.
I can't miss with the slider here. With the fastball, I had a little more room for error because I had some run on it and it didn't stay in his bat path as long. But you start learning that, and then once you read the guy's swings, you're a lot more confident in the pitches when you throw them. And if you throw one that you know they hurt you, that they can hurt you on, you make sure to make that pitch.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at the location of this. It registered as a split on here, but it was 82-2. I think it was a change. I think he said it was a change. Anyway, his first pitch was a curveball up in the zone. It was called a ball. It should have been a strike. So he started out 1-0. Then he gets a called strike. And then the third pitch was on the inner part of the plate, very edge of the inside of the strike zone, but it's like waist high.
What was the
And
count?
1-1,
Yeah,
the one
so
to
he's already
Tellez.
trying to, he's already thinking, yeah, he's going to do some damage, and you just leave it there. He's opening up and it just runs into his bat.
So, and the story of the game, other than those four, I mean, because that's it. That's all they gave up. But the Braves went 0 for with runners in scoring position, I think 0 for 5. They're back in a pattern now where they had the offense really come alive for about 2 weeks. And now they're back into this, they've scored in the last eight games. They've scored 6 twice, but otherwise they're scoring like 1, 2, 3, and nothing, every game. And they're wasting opportunities. They had a really good one today. Austin Riley has really come around. He had a great June, and he's had 6 homers, I think, in the last 15 games. But today he comes up and he twice. First of all, yesterday they won, and it's funny because 2 of the 3 hardest hit balls in that game yesterday were Marcell Ozuna ground into double plays. 2 of the 3 hardest hit balls, 109 and 106, double play grounders. So he had 4 at bats. He struck out twice and hit into 2 double plays. So you look at it, you go, good Lord, this guy had a terrible day. But he hit 2 of the 3 hardest hit balls of the game. So anyway, today, Austin Riley comes up, runners at first and second, 2 out in the first, flies out, comes up again. The big one was runners at first, runners on the corners and none out in the fourth after a walk. Ozuna drew a leadoff walk. Olson singled. Austin comes up, grounds into a double play. They get 1 run out of it, and then Duvall followed him with a walk, and then Murphy struck out looking. So they really wasted an opportunity there. So they're up only 1-0, and then that was quickly erased in the next inning. So, but it's just a lot of missed opportunities. I wrote about this in for a thing for my takeaways that are going to run tomorrow morning. This has been a huge part. First of all, their lineup last year, we talked about it so many times, how their lineup was stacked top to bottom, and nobody else's lineup gave no pitchers a chance to even catch their breath. And even this year, when they were going well, the first few weeks of the season, the lineup was deep. But now, with Acuna out, with Harris injured, you got a bottom of the lineup now is an average team or worse. The bottom of the lineup now is 3 really pretty not easy outs, but 3 outs that pitcher can look at and go, okay, I can get an outs there. And it's night and day difference when you're getting to the bottom of the order, and those guys are really average at best.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
And it's been even worse than that lately. Laureano missed the last couple of games. He had a back thing. So you got the likes of Forrest Wall in there. Arcia and Duvall have been awful. Duvall against right-handers. He was doing fine against lefties as a platoon guy. But once he moved into that regular lineup, he's got the worst numbers of anybody over like 38 beats against right-handers this year. Just terrible. And since he got in the regular lineup, he's just struggled with righties and lefties. Arcia has just been nothing like last year. And with runners in scoring position, RC has been particularly brutal. Last year, he got a lot of big hits for him.
Yeah, he did.
And that's killing them at the bottom of the order because they can get a couple runners on base, and then they get down there and it's like out, 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 strikeout. A lot of them strikeouts. Uh, I documented this, the numbers for tomorrow. Runners and just with runners in scoring position, Braves are 18th with a 729 OPS, 18th in the majors. They were third last year with an 823 OPS. And even given the slugging numbers are down this year across the majors, that's huge. That's 96 points different in OPS.
Yeah.
In any situation with runners on base, the Braves are 14th in the majors in average at 255, 13th in slugging, 420, 15th in OPS, 738. That's just runners on base, regardless of scoring position. Last year, they led the majors in all those categories by a wide margin. 284 they hit, 518 slugging, which is absurd. 98 points higher than they are right now. And an 873 OPS with runners on base last year, 738 this year. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's an easier lineup to kind of work your way through.
Yeah.
Like when you get to the bottom of the lineup last year and you had Harris, and then you had Ozzy's a switch hitter lead after you got through Acuna. It's I always looked at it like I pitched around guys a lot. Like I'd get a guy up and say there's a lefty that I know I can get out on deck.
Yeah.
Righty comes up and I'm just like, if you want to try to hit some of this garbage I'm about to throw, go ahead and get yourself out. But I'm getting the next guy. And I don't think that was really an option last year. One,
right.
because all their lefties could hit lefties and their righties could hit righties. And then you had Ozzy switch. But two, just because everybody was so hot. And then if you look at it this year, it's like if you get to get to that 4-5 spot, you can play it pretty safe and know that if I get into real trouble, I can battle against these guys that are struggling.
Right.
And you get 2 or 3 of them. If you get those 4 or 5 out, now you got another inning that's basically a free inning. Like if I make pitches and get through this next one, and then the 8 or 9 holes leading off. So you go into the top of the lineup with an out or two and you can start being careful again. Last year, that just wasn't an option. It was
exactly
just, everybody was a cleanup and a leadoff guy. It didn't matter. There was no easy at bats.
A perfect example of what you're talking about. After that first inning where Austin flied out with 2 on to end that inning, you start the next inning with Duvall, Murphy, who's still trying to get his swing back after missing 2 months of the first 2 months of the season, and Arcia. That's the 3 guys coming up in the second inning. Your 6, 7, and 8 hitters today. Strikeout, strikeout, strikeout. That was the second inning against
Bob. You feel that
Bailey Falter.
If you're Austin Riley or Matt Olson or one of those guys that know there's about to be this drop off, you feel that pressure to get it done. You feel like I know that guy's struggling. I got to get it done, or we're not scoring, and that affects your at bats too.
And that's a lefty, Bailey Falter, who they crushed last year. So and then again they that 4th inning where Austin grounded in the double play, they get 1 run there. Murphy strikes out to end that inning. You start the next inning with RC. He actually drew a walk, but then you got Williams up hitting 9th because you're just kind of piecing this thing together while, Laureano was out today and Harris is out. And he grounds into a double play after the leadoff walk. You got a lot of all his strikeouts were pretty much at the bottom of the order. So anyway, that's where they are. It's just they're not getting that middle of the order consistent thump where every time a guy made a mistake, got a couple on. Olson made him pay or Riley made him pay. Olson's back struggling again after really going on a tear for a while. He is striking out at a prodigious rate lately. A lot of strikeouts, like 2 or 3 every game for 4 or 5 games in a row there. So they're still trying to get it together. Just when you think, it's never that easy. When you think they're starting to click and they're back to, closer to last year's form, they have a homestand like they just had, and all of a sudden they're in struggle mode again. So we'll see. Doesn't get any easier. You got the Phillies coming in. You got the Giants first this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then you got the Phillies in a pretty big series next weekend. The Phillies are obviously dealing with some injuries of their own right now with Harper, Two out with what you got? Harper's out with a hamstring, which they said is not bad, but I can't see him coming back for the All-Star break. And who's that? Who else is out with them? Oh, groin. Get your big man, your leadoff man.
Schwarber.
Yeah, Schwarber's got a groin. So they both went on that IL the same day. So the Braves are going to get them without those two guys. That's big. So you got to take advantage of it. But I'm not sure how the pitch going to match up. So looking the way it's lined up right now, Lopez would be on regular rest if he's pitching that series at all, because he's going to pitch against the Giants. They haven't used him on regular rest but one time all season. So I don't know if they're ready to do that or not. Maybe they are. We'll see. But
I mean, I always thought that when you're playing a division rival, you throw your best at them because
yeah,
you can if you win, you guarantee they lose that day.
yeah,
When you win and they win, it's
you
like
gain a game every day.
Yeah,
that you
every
win.
time you win, you get a game.
And they lost a game again today. The Phillies were down to the Marlins 6-3, and of course they came back and won 7-6, and then the
They played
Braves
like
lose.
shit
So
too. They made 5 errors and
yeah,
just hit their way back in the game.
so they're beat up right now, and the Braves aren't taking advantage right now. They're back to 8 games behind them, which is, the furthest they fell back was 10.5, and I think the closest I think they got was 7. So we'll see. They're still right there. There's still a few games ahead in the wild card thing, but there's a ton of teams right behind them in that wild card race. You can't afford to go through a bad slump again at all, because there's some teams kind of heating up back there, starting to play the way they can. So we'll see. All right, 7:55 forever. We'll talk to you guys again. No game tomorrow. Bravos are off. They need it too. They are beat up after the way that road trip ended with the doubleheader in St. Louis and one game in Chicago, then come home, no off day, and play 3 against the Pirates, including a stupid 11:30 a.m. start. So
Yeah,
they need that day
they'll take
tomorrow
a day off after that.
for sure. All right. Thanks, everybody.